Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is the Gospel Blaze Network. My name is Richy and I'm your host. Well, I'm so ecstatic about today's show, but right before we dig into that excitement, I'd like to remind you all to subscribe, like, hit the bell button so that you are notified each time we post an episode. Back to my excitement. So the person I have with me today is one of a kind. Really, like, I remember when I inboxed him, he's like, Wagwan. I'm like, dude, we don't know each other for that long, but he's a free spirit. So I know for certain that this is one interview that you need to watch. Well, he's a vocalist, a songwriter, an artist, and a guitarist. And you know what? The guitar thing, I just have to put it in there because, man, I'm so obsessed with the guitar. Too bad he didn't carry one. He has done several songs. Ngule Yange, Mama, a song for the mothers. And most of you might know him from his collabo with Navio, Missing You. I know, I'm getting in your mind. Now you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Richie Kaweesa, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You don't seem excited. The way I'm excited, I'm jumping out
I really am.
That's when we shall know that you're excited to be here.
I lost all my grooves when I was, I think, in high school.
Too bad. No one deserves a man who cannot pull some moves, man.
Oh, come on. Dancing is not all there is to it.
Really?
Yes.
I think that a man who has some groove in him goes a long way.
Modern day men have come to the reality that even cooking is not all that there is to a woman. So we're tired.
Nice one. Nice one. Well, it's so good to have you.
Thank you.
A few weeks ago, we had your brother, Fila, on the show.
Oh, nice.
So it seems to be a talented family. I mean, how does one family become this talented? Chichi?
It has to do with good genes. Your parents must have, the magic behind it, and it just works itself automatically.
I think one would say that we also have good genes, but we don't have this talent, at least flowing all over. But hey, I want to know. So Richy Kaweesa, who are you? Tell me about you.
Who am I? I'm just a guy, just a normal person, just like every other person. I'm just a normal person. I do music, I do ministry, and I'm learning how to do ministry, really. It's more of me learning now.
Okay.
These few years have been a learning curve for me.
Okay.
For ministry. Yeah.
So ministry, are you preaching? What's that? What are you doing?
With ministry, it's much more than just the pulpit. I think the pulpit is one of those things that you get to when you have grown to a certain level. But now it's more learning how to serve, how to really learn more what it is you actually believe in.
Okay.
Because I think the tragedy is we run for the pulpit before understanding clearly what even your calling is. What we're in for. Yeah, because Christ, the worldview, the Christian worldview, it's sad that most of us don't really understand what we actually believe in.
Okay. Now, before we dig deeper into ministry, I want to understand, because you said you're an artist, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you get there? Because I understand you're a PK, a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of pastor's kids, is there a pressure to it that as a pastor's kid you have to enter into ministry?
No, there is no pressure. But I think at the end of the day, it depends on your calling, and what inspires you as a person.
Okay, because I would think there is an expectation that if you're a pastor's kid, then somehow, somewhere, you have to be in ministry at one point in your life.
It's very common for people that I think in all kinds of different walks of life. When you look at sportsmen and their kids, they also want to become athletes, just like their parents. And it just
charity
comes
begins from
what
home.
Really inspires you. And I think the calling of God upon our lives is not so far away from what really inspires you, what you go through. Yeah. Sometimes it's drastic, that it's really different from what you love and you've grown accustomed to being, or you would have wanted to be. It's like that in some cases, but I think what inspires you, God uses that, the passion and the drive to it, for His own glory. So yeah.
Okay, so now a pastor's kid with his own journey.
Yes.
But then how does the music come into play? At what point in your life did you realize that, oh, I can sing, and then you got into music? How old were you when you first discovered you can sing?
I always tried to sing. I've never come to a point where I was like, oh, I sing. It was trying to always. The people that we grew up listening to. When you grew up listening to Commission, you grew up listening to the McKnights, the Boys to Men, and all these different people, and we were so inspired by the West because they had refined their talents to a level and to a degree that was uncomparable to any other part of the world. And so when you grow up listening to that, you are amazed by how good somebody can really, really be. I mean, these people don't have auto-tune by that time. They don't have programming to a certain level in the studio. And yet they sound like angels when they sing.
Okay.
So you're blown away by the level of skill that they have. And then, you're pulled to that. My brother Fela was the biggest inspiration that drew us to us guys, because he introduced to us to all these different types of music and all this stuff. And so
somehow you found your way into it.
Yeah, like it's a tragedy. I wish we grew up when we had the African artists that we have now.
Like who in particular?
When you look at there's so many, man, so many. The Dr. Tumis, the African artists. Who else can I mention?
So what do you think having that African artist that we have now would have changed about your upbringing or your entry into music?
Because I would have appreciated what the West had, but I would have loved more what my people had. Because the problem was, I think maybe it came down to studio equipment, not having that. Maybe and so many other reasons. We are third world countries, so many things can come into play. But having somebody that is your own, singing your own language, singing the things that make sense to you, the jokes, the culture,
stories that are told, you can relate to.
Yeah, so that would have changed a lot. It would have changed a lot of perspective. But we grew up in a different world where our own people were really trying to build something. We're really on the building blocks. I remember the best Ugandan song that I loved most when I was growing up. You would not believe it was Bebe Cool. I'll never trust no people.
Oh,
because it sounded so fresh.
Yeah,
according to that,
different sound.
To that time, and when I listened to that, I was like, so there is capacity for us to do something like the people of the West. But the industry has grown drastically with the Nigerians blowing out of proportions, the Jackie Chunuos, and so many different worshippers. Now they are actually doing worship music with the Americans. Back in the day, the Americans were too far for us to even imagine us being on the same platform,
Yeah.
And now when you actually see it, that African worshippers are worshiping with these guys, it blows your mind. Even to the secular side of the industry, secular artists are doing, and you're inspired to do more.
Now, do you think as a person,
yeah,
you've put Africa somewhere on the map? Because at one point, we have to stop looking at the generations before us, to stop looking at our parents, and we have to take matters into our hands. We have to be the change that we want to see. So, since you wanted that representation growing up, do you think where you are right now, you have put a mark on Africa somewhere within the music industry?
I think everything you do as a person, if you have one or two people listening to you, that is enough.
Yeah.
One or two people listening to you, that is enough. Because there are people that watch you, there are people that look at you and they are inspired. And they're like, you know what, I'd want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Or I'd want to even take it to another level. By the time when I started doing music, especially, I would say I didn't know so many other uh, better vocalists than myself. I didn't know many other, but now I can mention so many people that sing so amazing.
Okay.
I love their music.
Mm.
From Chimera, from Solomon Vasuta. You know, so you see so many different artists coming out.
I
right
love
now.
what's his name? Chi. Okay, just go on. I remember him.
Yeah.
The MK guy, Morris Kira, and then
Yes.
Kenneth Mugabe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. When you hear the Morrises, the Kenneth Mugabes, you're hearing so many other people that are daring now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
pushing the boundaries. They're like, okay, Chidandeli has ruled for so many years. It has been, you know, our bread and butter for so long.
Yeah.
But now, who's daring enough to push this to another level, to get a different genre out there, to, you know, push something new into the market. And at first it was the Ugandans will never get that. The Ugandans will never get that.
Yeah, we wouldn't have appreciated that music.
Yes,
True.
but anything in life to be done, it's not easy. It's really not easy.
You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Now, I want us to go back to when you first started. Or let's look back 10 years. Because
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
you did the song with Navio 10 years, right?
Yes,
Back
about so.
about 10 years. Now, how does a pastor's kid get to do a song with Navio, who is not even a gospel artist? And first of all, by that time, 10 years back, were you doing gospel or you are doing all kinds of music?
I was doing all kinds of music. As a person, I had grown up in the Christian worldview, and I did something very dangerous. That's because I didn't understand the worldview that I was raised up in completely. I decided to venture out. I told God, you know what, for 5 years I'm going to do my thing. It has taken me more than 5 years to wash out some of the crap that I did to myself. But I really wanted to go out there, to venture out, because I'd grown up in a church, literally.
Yeah.
You know, Sunday services, overnights were everything to me. You know, they were sacred. They were something that was happening. But then I wanted to know why. Why were the biblical truths that I hold so dear and sacred, why are they the only way to live by in this life? And so I decided to just go out. And in my venturing, I stumbled into a record label. And the record label was a secular record label.
Okay.
And so, being that it was a secular record label, I had opportunities to work with secular artists. And you know, I just wanted to do some music, real life music. We lost a dear friend of ours. His name was Adam. And not many people knew him. Maybe a lot of people knew him from Seguku. He was a light-skinned fella, very wild. He lived a very debauched kind of lifestyle. And then it really caught up to him. Got really sick and then died. And so in those moments of losing him, I'd become close with him at that time. And so, you know, in missing him, I just wanted to do a song. So Missing You was the song.
Oh.
Being on a record label, the manager hears it and he's like, Missing You is like, so we can put a girl in there. So we can market it like this and this. Up to today, it's so amazing that most people think us.
It was about a girl.
A heartbreak of some girl. And you know, and you understand, because you know it's something that I was trying to do, something that was at that point in time that hadn't yet been done. R&B with hip hop.
Yeah.
People are hearing Chidani, even asking Uganda, you know.
I'm telling you, Missing You was really something else. I believe recently you just did it again in honor of Chadwick Boseman.
No, for Kobe Bryant. It was.
Oh, yes, you know, Kobe Bryant.
This year, when it was beginning,
in
our church, the word for this year was take off everything, every burden, and the sin that's easily entangles. You know, try to take that off for this year. And there was no exciting word for the year. There was no, you're going to buy land. No, you're going to.
This is your year.
I wondered in myself, and I was like, well, what's going on here? You know?
Normally we start years with it's your year. This
words.
is
The words were righteousness, walk in righteousness. You know, it's time for you, you know, guys, to really sharpen up, to brush up on your words, to know the word really well. It was nothing about getting land and all these things.
Mm.
And then there's a preacher. Phila knows the preacher.
Mm.
He gave a word for this year, and he said, that this year is going to be a year when many giants are going to fall, and new giants are going to be born.
Mm.
So you hear all these words, and you're like, okay, you never know.
Yeah.
Christians, and with all this prophecy.
Yeah.
There's a man that said prophecy, especially of the future, is very, very difficult. And so you wait and see, and then slowly by slowly, COVID comes in around March.
Mm. Actually, before COVID, Kobe Bryant dies in Jan.
Was it in January?
Yes, it was in January.
Was it before COVID-19?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that happens, and it's such a big blow.
Yeah.
Because of who he is.
Yeah.
When you look at Kobe Bryant, he's a guy that had achieved everything that you would want to achieve.
Yes.
On an individual basis, as a man.
Yeah.
You're a career, successful career.
Yeah.
You have all the money in the bank, family, and all these things. And then you're like, man, for him to die, it's so sad. In my heart, I was like, man, he shouldn't die. Other people should die. Yeah. Maybe because,
That's not right.
I know. I know it's not fair, but I kind of felt that way. So we did that. And then you hear Chadwick has died as well.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, who else is
what's
going to
next? Even before Chadwick, and then the whole COVID thing happens, taking us all by surprise,
And even not even Chadwick alone. When I think about the death of Ravi Zakaraz as well. Ravi has been, for me, has been the biggest apologist that Christianity has had in a very long time.
Mm.
He's been going out there to the Middle East, presenting Christ, on Islamic fronts where people are very hostile, universities where people are atheistic and have all these theisms, these isms that should have been wasms, he used to say. And he was a very brilliant speaker, a very brilliant preacher of the word. He was so knowledgeable when it came to the Bible. And then he actually claimed that every time he read the Bible, he marveled at how much he doesn't know. And when people are explaining to you things that have deep meaning, and then they tell you, they marvel at how much they do not know. You're actually asking yourself, now, are they bragging?
Okay, so speaking of how crazy COVID has been and all that, maybe to make you feel better, we would like to dedicate all those families and all those people who have lost their loved ones in 2020. We want to dedicate to them the Missing You song.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
That is that. Now, I want to go back to you.
Okay.
Navio. Yes. I'm still interested because, man, I love that song personally.
Okay.
When I listen to it in breaking hearts and broken hearts. But I want, what did it mean for you? Because you were telling me the story of how you said, you know what, I've grown with this thing. Yeah. I've been in church. I'm a pastor's kid. This is the only way that I know.
Yeah.
But I want to discover myself.
Yeah.
So you go out there, you get into a record label. That is where I want to start.
Yeah, you just want to try what out there. What else is out there? You just want to know what else is out there. And so that was just my personal decision, because I felt like if I'm going to commit myself to Christ, I should have compelling evidence.
Do you feel that right now? Do you feel like it was worth it for you to go out there in the world?
Well, I think I made a whole lot of mistakes, messed up here and there, but I think eventually it teaches you lessons. Everything teaches you. Life teaches you lessons.
Yeah.
I did learn a few on the way.
Okay.
On the way back.
And what did that mean to your family, to your parents? Because if your parents are the head in the church, and then here you are saying, I need to do this on my own. I'm going on this journey. What did that mean to them, and how did they react towards that?
My dad always say that, do what takes you to heaven. That was his reply for every question that we ever doubted Christ, or every question that, about Christianity and anything. He said, you just do what takes you to heaven. It was a simple answer. So What he really wanted to say was that, dude, it's up to you.
Yeah, we've brought you right.
Yeah.
So
I did my job.
yeah.
Now it's up to you. So I wanted to being my own person. I really wanted to ascribe to something that I fully understand why.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Okay.
And so going out there, what it really did, it exposes you to different worldviews, different people, world systems and whatnot.
Okay.
And what you really discover is that two things. Every other worldview out there, the chronological order of how things work is you first be righteous, then you attain your salvation. For Islam, you follow the 5 pillars diligently, you attain your salvation. Hinduism, pantheism, there are things you must do
first before
for you to attain
your
salvation. In Christianity, it's the other way around. You can't do anything to attain your own salvation because you're not worth it.
Yeah.
Why aren't you worth it? You keep on messing up. And it's the reality. When you look at the Christian worldview, what it actually says, and then how does it correspond with reality? It is true. We are unworthy. We are broken vessels. That should be the perfect way to say it. That we are set into this world in a broken world, and we are broken vessels.
Yeah.
We lie, we cheat, we
do all kinds of things.
We are evil. Generally, intrinsically, it feels that we are evil. Yeah. But what Christianity preaches is that he saves you first. In Exodus, he's telling them in Exodus 20, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore, you shall have no other gods before me. He's the one that made the provision to bring them out of Egypt. There was no way.
Yeah.
I mean, he parted the sea. He did all those miracles and, plagues upon plagues. For us, we have only had coronavirus and, the whole world is shaken up. Just imagine having all those plagues coming to you. You have fleas, you have flies, you have locusts.
The firstborns are dying.
Exactly. And all those different things happen. That shows you the kind of hard-hearted people they were at that time. And
so how long did you make music out there in the world, if I may call it that way?
For a good amount of time, I think.
Okay, about how many years would you say?
5 years.
Okay, so what was your turning point back to the gospel?
Okay, my turning point was when I finally realized that what I wanted would never be my ultimate, the thing that I had in my head that would be my ultimate pleasure is not going, it will let me down. That was my turning point. What I thought would be the ultimate prize or pleasure.
And what would be the ultimate prize? What was that? Was it fame?
Celebrity.
Okay.
When you see guys wear the coolest clothes, coolest shades on TV, driving the best cars, living in the biggest houses, being known by millions of fans. When they come out of their house, people are like, my God, following them around. You ultimately think that is it to life. That has to be it. Being a celebrity, being out there. But then you get out there and then you realize how much of it is fake.
Yeah, true.
That was a big letdown.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I thought you owned this car. Car ain't yours, it's for a company. I thought you owned the house. House ain't yours, it's for some dude. I thought you owned the clothes. The clothes are not mine. I represent some kind of boutique.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, then what is yours?
Who are you? Where's your identity?
Exactly. So I was like, this doesn't even make sense. I thought this makes sense. It does not make sense to me.
You know what? I believe that each and every one of us has to get to a point where you can fully understand that there's nothing that can fulfill other than God. Like every Christianity has to get to that point that come money, come fame, whatever it is, will not fully satisfy
Yeah, yeah.
other than God. Because, man, I've been having that journey. Personally, I can tell you that a few weeks back, I just got to a point, I'm like, you know what, God? Even if I ask you for the best car, I love cars. Even if I ask you for the
Don't
best
we
car,
all?
I feel like that does not cut it. I want something more. And that is required of all of us.
You know, we have eternity set in our hearts. And we have this yearning that something should last forever.
Yeah.
But the sad reality is that everything here,
Does not.
experience-wise, does not last forever.
Yeah.
You know, even the best moments, after you've just experienced them, they're already in history.
Yeah,
They're in the past. So you recognize that there is nothing on this earth that is going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's only one thing that remains the same.
God's
His word,
love.
His promise
Yeah.
to you and me. That is the same from yesterday, today,
Today
forever.
and
Because
tomorrow.
why? His character is unchanging.
Yeah.
His character is unchanging.
He's not a son of man to lie.
Yes, and I also, you know, in life, for me, I think one of the things was, so I was at a talent show, Maisha Superstar,
Yeah.
and I was just about to go on stage to perform one of the songs that I had programmed to perform there. And I'm on the steps, and it's the only time I think God ever spoke to me. And I hear him because every time I hear God, it's like a thought. It's a very clear thought. So it comes to me and I sit and it says, you know what? This is a miniature version of the real industry. You need fans to cheer for you. And there are those big people in the industry that have to give you some sort of approval for your thing to be out there in front of people. But what it really was in that competition, it's like any other music competition. You go out there to please. You go out there to please.
Yeah.
The day you don't please, you don't get marks, you don't get the points, you know, you might get kicked out. So in reality, what you are subjecting your life to is to be somebody who has to please the masses all the time. Because the day you don't please, that's
Then
the day you're unpopular.
you're out.
That's the day you're out. So I was like, how long should somebody do that? How long can one person
Please
please
the
people?
masses.
And you know what kind of people we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, I can only imagine how much that sucks out of you to be able to give a piece of yourself out there, and yet you're actually not you're not feeding into your soul.
Exactly.
You're giving.
There's nothing you feed into yourself. There's nothing.
Just giving.
Let's say you make a few bucks along the way, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's just sad that it's something that you cannot really count on.
Yeah.
But if you're out there changing people's lives, you know, bringing hope, message of hope, because so many people are out there, man, they're living without hope.
Yeah.
Bring Christ into their lives, because He's the one that, you know, the whole world revolves around. He's the maker of it all.
The motto that I live by from my church is called Ministering Love in a Hurting World. And I think, to me, there's nothing that makes much more sense than that, because the world is hurting.
It is.
That's for certain.
Broken, yeah.
You know, and sometimes love comes in all forms and shapes and sizes. So sometimes it's not going to be the money that I'm going to send you. Sometimes it's that, you know, even now when we are in COVID, we can't hug, but you know, it's that bow click. It's just the wave that you give someone, the smile from, and you say, hey, I see you. I see that, you know, you're going through life and I'm right there with you. Now, fast forward, I believe there's a time you got to and you are not making music anymore. Let's talk about that part of your life. What happened?
That's when we lost our dad, and that's when I seriously started asking myself these questions, because
I'm sorry about that.
you have all those convictions in the back of your mind that, you know, I should be doing something more with my life. I should be serving more with my life. And then you're not actually acting upon it, but you're just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So when my dad actually left, that's when his words in my life actually really came back. And I just decided to really make the move, the change in my life. I was like, you know what? I've done enough songs, enough hits, tried to make it, you know, and all that.
Mm.
And I was like, but now I should live for something greater than myself.
Okay, so
For others.
for the viewers out there who don't know, Richie
Yeah.
Kaweesa's dad was a pastor, a huge pastor, and for most of you who know him, you know how much we were hit as a church upon his passing, because he passed on in a very nasty accident.
Yeah.
May his soul rest in peace. And if we as a church we were hit that hard,
Yeah.
I would like to know, if you don't mind sharing, what as a family did that look like for you guys?
It comes to, well, it was a shock. He was the kind of guy that would sit down and say, "I feel my time is up." Say that almost for about a year. But when somebody's saying the same thing for about a year, at some point it turns into a joke.
Yeah.
And we're like, here we go again, this talk of
Yeah.
he always say that. So when he actually left, it's a shock. We were unprepared.
Yeah.
In all ways. But then, one of the things that sobered my mind was the funeral service, seeing so many people come and realizing about 80% of these people my dad knew them personally.
Yeah.
And to all these 80 people that have come, he really ministered to them.
Yeah.
Spoke Christ to them.
Yeah.
Changed their lives. As a family, it hurt. It really, really did hurt, and it still hurts that we're not able to share more moments with him.
Yeah.
But we realize that he ran his race.
Yeah.
And he finished well. So now the torch was really turned to us. What were we doing with our lives? Our dad was such a good minister that when we went with him, instead of ministering, we would chill and be like, "No, Dad got it. He got it. He can do it all."
Yeah.
But then when he left, now
it was your time. Yeah, it was your time.
Exactly. My brother Isaac took up the torch, being the preacher.
Yeah.
Phila is taking up the torch of being the mentor to all of us.
Yeah.
And our mother, she's now also the preacher in my dad's steps. And I see so many different ministries just
being born because of that.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so your dad passes on, you're like, I'm done with music. This does not make sense anymore.
No, it wasn't like that. It was more like I really need to change how I did music.
Okay.
I took a break from everything because I knew I really needed to come back with something really meaningful.
Yeah.
I didn't just want to do another hit or just do another good song that people vibe to.
Yeah.
I wanted to come back to speak life into somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I realized the time I have left might not be that much.
Yeah.
So it's best I use it wisely.
Yeah.
And so I just took a step back, started relearning everything.
Okay. And how long did that whole process take you?
It took it's taken about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And we've been writing music, we've been writing new albums, we've been writing new things, but we've been trying to assess how best to do this.
I do follow you on Facebook.
Yeah.
So one day you put up a post, I believe it was last year, and you're like, man, I had given up on music.
Yeah.
I had put a stop to it, but I'm putting myself out there. And I know very many people, we were all celebrating with you. We could only imagine what you had been through. And I want to know, leading up to that day when you posted that, what was it like? Like, what made you to come back on top and say, hey, this is time. It is time. This is it.
When you keep quiet for some time, you this is a very personal thing. So I don't know if I should speak about it. But anyway, when you keep quiet for some time, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to recollect and get a fresh perspective of who you are.
Yeah.
Where are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
And
you quiet all the noises around you.
Exactly. So so when you just silence everything, you start asking yourself the real important questions.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Does this really matter?
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many ways to make money in this life. You'd want to, if you're saying that you're going to be a musician for the rest of your life and that's what you're going to do, that's how you're going to earn money and whatnot, it ought to be that you're doing it as a way to earn a living, but it ought to be something that is fulfilling to you. Let me tell you a story. I finished my senior 6, and I'm here trying to think of universities. So I go to universities, I get my papers, and I come home, and my dad said, "What, you want to be a tourist in life?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, you're going to music school." I didn't like that idea. I was scared, but I was doing music at that time. But I was scared about it. I was like, I don't know, because I think inside I hadn't yet fully really accepted that I want to be doing this.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
And then at that moment in time, it felt like you're choosing now. This is
exactly.
it. Yeah.
It felt like we're making the choice.
Yeah.
And all the time that I spent at the music school, I think my mind was still divided about why are we here?
Should I really be doing this?
Exactly. But then after that time when my dad passes, I was like, you know what? I want to do music, but I really want to do it with purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
There has to be a reason, a point to this.
Yes.
To all this.
My music ought to speak life to somebody. Because we are living in a broken world. A lot of people are hurting and they need love.
Yeah.
There's nothing that speaks love like music. There's nothing in this world. Food can come close, but not so close, because the melodies, instrumentation, when everything is just right, and the singer sings just right, there's a way it breathes life to somebody. So it's a very big tool.
It's funny you say that, because I've realized there is a song for every situation. Like, do you know, you could listen to a song and be like, is this person going through this? Something like, how did this person know that I'm going through this? You know, recently I'm obsessed with a song called The Story I'll Tell. And it came to me at a point in my life where I needed a new song. Like, I needed, because I know that I have a testimony. I know I have something to say about my God, but I didn't know what. So I listened to the song. I'm like, that's it. That's the story I'm going to say about my God. Wow. Okay.